Something very underrated is being able to walk wherever you want to, like wherever you need to go. So for 2 years, I lived in a place where this wasn't possible. I lived in hell, basically. Like, dude, if you did not have a car, like if your car was broken or like you just had no other way to get around, like you might as well chop off your dick and balls because you were not going to be able to get to wherever you needed to. There was no Uber, there was no buses. Like, this was a very like rural area, and I learned very quickly that this kind of living is not for me. Anyway, I live in a walkable city now, so I am able to do that walking shit, or whatever you want to call it. So on my walk today, I overheard some funny ass shit. So basically this dad was scolding this kid about just some stupid shit, but it just kind of like reminded me and gave me a Vietnam ass flashback to like the fights that I would get in with my dad. Like, dude, some of these were fucking scary. Like, they were boss battles sometimes, especially when I was like older and kind of realized that like I'm actually not afraid of you. I just got into more like, so when I was like 18, 19, 20, like that range, I would just get in these like arguments with my dad over like the dumbest shit ever. Like, thinking back on it, probably my fault, but you know, fuck it, we ball. Like, seriously, some of these were like just weird. So it started with just an argument about, you know, whatever, and I would just leave because it's just awkward to be around that shit. So I'd be gone for, I don't know, half the day, and my dad would be all like worried. He'd call me up and just be like, please come home, son. And then I'd just be like, all right. And then I'd come home and like we never spoke about it again. And then the same thing would happen a week later. Fun times. Miss those days. So today's story takes place in the midst of one of these fights with my dad. So typically, whenever this happened, I would get in my car and drive like 3 blocks away to my homie's house. Now, this is where pretty much all the buffoonery happened. Like, this is where the goons always hung out at. And the funny ass thing about this is his mom was like super strict and would get like mad at us for like obviously having weed, and then she'd just like not care. But the thing was, his mom went to bed super early, but if we kept it down enough, we would have like not woken her up and we would have, you know, been able to hang out. We honestly were pretty good at keeping the noise down. Like, she got pissed off like 2 times ever. So one of these nights we decided to step out. So there was 4 of us. It was me, Evan, Derek, and Carl. Carl was in the last story. Fake ass names, so we don't use real names around here. But Derek is whose house we're at. So we decide to step out and we get in my car. Now, it's about 11 p.m. at the time. The year was 2015, so Walmarts were 24/7. And that thought came to our mind. We're like, boys, we're stealing tonight. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of pussy when it came to stealing shit. Just because, like, morally in my mind, I'm like, this is a bad thing. And on top of that, I just, like, was scared to get caught, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I did steal a little bit, but, like, I did it very sparingly. Like, it was nowhere near the shit that my friends did. So it was actually Evan who brought up the idea of stealing alcohol because we were all piss broke at this time. Like, these guys just graduated high school, and I, like, was out of high school for, like, a year or 2, but I didn't have a job at the time. So we're going to Walmart and we can't pay for anything because we don't fucking have any money. So my friends have the genius idea. I don't know how they pulled this off. So we pull up to the Walmart. They tell me, just get in the spot, leave the car running. And so I park in like one of the closest spots. So they get in there, and I swear to God, 1 minute did not pass, and I see them running out with alcohol in bags. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what did you guys do? And they said, bro, we just took the bags to the alcohol section, put the alcohol in the bags, and we ran out. I just paused for a second. Like, I'm just astounded. Like, I was just told, like, the craziest thing ever. Like, the craziest scheme ever. Like, they just finessed Walmart. So I hadn't taken off yet. Like, I was just, like, taken back for, like, 5 seconds. And I realized, yeah, I should probably get the fuck out of here. So I drive back to Derek's crib, and we examine the loot. And I'm here to tell you right now, what they stole was not good. So what they ended up stealing, I can't really remember it off top, but I know one of the bottles was like a plastic bottle of like super cheap vodka, just very disgusting, like some great value ass shit. And then the other bottle, also a plastic bottle, was like imitating Jack Daniels, which already isn't a good sign because Jack Daniels is just fucking disgusting. Luckily, we had pop in the crib, so we were able to, chase that shit. But bro, this was brutal. Like honestly, it was brutal, but I will say top 5 drunkest I've ever been. Like, I was fucking blasted. So as you guys might guess, we got sick as fuck from drinking this. Like, we drank way too much way too soon. And like my homie Carl, like bro, like those classic like Snapchat stories and like Instagram posts where like you have your homie that's like slamming bottles and then like half an hour later they're on the toilet like puking their guts out. Now, I'm not really a drinker, but like I'll drink. That's how I've always been. Like, I've just never really been into the alcohol, and it's kind of like a deep rooted thing. Like, I'm not gonna get into it, but it just kind of like takes me back to like very bad moments in my life. And yeah, I just choose to not really do that much anymore. I mean, I'll drink. Like, I'll go to a bar. I'll go, if a game's on, I'll go have a couple beers with, like, some friends or whatever. But, like, really, it's just not a priority in my life anymore, which, is obviously a good thing because alcohol's fucked. Anyway, enough of my trauma dumping. So the night ends. We knock out. And the next thing I hear is, like, a pounding on my homie's door. And I'm just like, what's going on? Like, I honestly thought it was a cop. Like, I don't know, man. Like, the sun's up. It's like noon at this point. Like, we've slept half the day away. And I find out Derek's mom comes up to me and she's like, hey, Zach, your dad's at the door. And I am fucking bewildered. Like, I have no idea how to prepare for this. I'm still laying down. I get up. I like trip over myself. I vomit. Like, I didn't like bleh, like that, but like it was like one of those where you puke in your mouth and you like swallow the chunks, like that kind of shit. And I'm just like this is a bro moment. So there's this thing about my dad. He was very, this kind of runs in my family. He was very like passive aggressive. Like, whenever I did something wrong, a lot of the time he never like addressed it immediately. Like, he kind of let it stew and then he'd bring it up like, I don't know, at a later date. So, sticking with that theme, when I was at the door, he just asked me, he's like, where have you been? Like, I've been calling you. And I said, my phone died, sorry. And I said, like, I've been here. And I don't think he liked that answer that much, but he kind of just brushed it off because I guess he was in a hurry. And he's like, well, anyway, I'm going to go to your sister's college to go see her. Do you want to come with us? And my mom was along with him, and I just said, honestly, no, I'd rather not. And he just does this thing where every time he's about to get angry or when he's like has any like anxiety, he would be like, and he's like, all right, I love you. That's the thing about my dad. Like, I don't want to paint him in like a bad light because he was not like a bad person, but we just butted heads all the time, and this was just part of it, I guess. So anyway, I go back to sleep. I am like actually like ill at this point. I don't know. We just bullshit. We just play Xbox, just do our normal shit. And I just end up saying, you know what, guys, I'm going to go home. I'm going to actually go to bed now. I'll see you guys. And I get home. I knock out. I like wake up to my parents coming home. And just my dad comes in my room and he shuts the door, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And then he's like, I know you were fucked up today. And that's the thing about my dad, was he like never cursed. He like really never said fuck either. Anyway, I was like, yeah, I was a little drunk, whatever. And then he just did the old, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. Meanwhile, I'm not in high school. I'm not in middle school. I'm like fucking 20. Like, bro, like, what are you talking about? I'm like college age. Like, everybody my age does this type of shit. So, I mean, it didn't really like transpire into like anything crazy. It was just kind of, I'm disappointed in you, son. Just like that type of shit. And at that age, I'm just like, dude, I don't fucking care. Like, get out of here. And like, I hate explaining like that's how my mentality was, but that's really how it was. Like, that's just how it is. Like, when you are like trying to find like your way in the world, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, that's all the story is. I'm not gonna let this drag out for too long, because that's really all I have, and I don't want to waste your guys' time. So anyway, make sure you guys follow my fucking Twitter.